views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Standing at the door, looking back at life as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come again.
And welcome to Soul Chat. My name is Jane McGuire.
And this week I am Elena Risto.
Yes, and this is Elena Risto's song, Here I Am.
Yep.
It was available for download, but no longer.
It may be again.
It may be again.
It may be again.
It may be again.
I'm kind of fickle that way, you know, it's depending on what's going on. So
last week we had local psychic Mary Rose on, and she came and talked to us a little bit about the blood moon and the full moon and the lunar eclipse and Mercury retrograde.
And Pluto.
And Neptune. And her main message, what I took away from that, was that everybody right now is in transition. So let's talk about last week and this week. The place I work, which I just started, is closing at the end of the month.
That's pretty sudden.
It's a pretty sudden change.
Yeah.
And so I am again looking for a place to hang my psychic license. So anybody out there that is looking for a psychic in Las Vegas and Clark County, please feel free to give me a call.
And she will not work from your living room or your garage. It has to be approved by the county.
Right. No, this has to be a licensed place by the county. I have a few leads. I did call licensing today and got a few leads. But then when I posted this on my Facebook, the overwhelming majority of people said that it's time to get my own space.
Which is one of the things that we both said when when we found out that it's closing. Now we will have Vicki Claire on here a couple more times.
Yes, because even though the store is closing, she's still going to stay in town for a little bit longer and teach her classes. But she is also going to come on, I believe, the week of Halloween.
Yeah.
And she's going to give us the roots of Halloween and how it really started in Ireland and the Celtic lands, and then came over here to America and spread throughout the world.
Right.
So she's going to talk about the legend and the lore and the truth of Halloween and how it has evolved over, I guess, a couple hundred years, maybe more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not just baskets of candy.
Right. And what it really means. Right. So Mary Rose was right as far as all this transition. I've had a lot of transition in the last week. I'm also moving. I start moving this process this week with my kids. We're moving into an apartment. So a lot of transition for me. You've had some transition since the blood moon.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Everything changed at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. You know, I mean, I got a phone call from a friend who needed a place to stay for a few days. Didn't see that one coming. Well, we kind of did, but not right then.
Right. And not all intuitive people are told what they need to be told.
No,
Sometimes things are kept from us because we have to go through the process.
Right. And I also got word my mother went back on hospice again.
Right.
Yeah. And this is probably it. Yeah. And also I got a text from my daughter who lives in New York. I got it yesterday morning saying, well, I'm landing in Las Vegas tomorrow until Friday. Had no idea that.
So she's already here now.
Someplace.
Yeah.
Haven't heard from her yet.
So a lot of transition, and obviously this is not just you and me. We believe that because of the planets coming out of retrograde, other planets going into retrograde, that this is on a global level. This is happening to everybody at some point. Spirit is kicking out of your life what you do not need.
Right. It's giving and it's bringing to you what you do need.
Yeah.
In a sudden way. It can happen both ways.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So today what we're going to talk about is the ways our physical bodies give us clues where we need to go on our spiritual path. And we're going to have a guest on in about 5 minutes, Annabella DeCoro, who is the expert in what she calls the art of hand psychology. I've had a couple of readings from her that were really, really, really good.
Is this the same as palmistry?
Well, we're going to ask her.
Okay.
We're going to ask her about the difference.
Okay,
so
because I can see people out there now going, I hand psychology,
Yeah.
really?
This is called the show that talks about anything because the FCC isn't on it.
Right,
Okay.
right. And this is about alternative ways of looking at things in your life.
Now, one of the biggest things that we can say, and we both agree, that all physical problems are manifestations of an emotional root
Yes.
of some kind.
Yes.
And so what are the ways that our bodies talk to us? Now, in 2007, I had a huge thing that happened, and it was a setup from when I was 16 because I had sprained my ankle horribly when I was 16.
Oh, so did I.
And in 2007, just as I was about to make a big step in my music career to do something totally out there, you know, I instead stepped off of off of a landing, dropped 2 feet, dislocated my
Ouch.
ankle and broke it, which set my feet on the shamanic path, ultimately. So that's
Yeah.
one way. Accidents can direct you
Yeah.
in a certain way spiritually, but there's other ways our bodies talk to us
Absolutely, absolutely. And it talks in the form of stress,
too.
in the form of headaches, in the form of energetic connections that we call cords. And I've taken cords out of you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and that at the time you said it felt like it was wrapped around my head, and I had not told you that I'd had this really weird headache all day.
Yeah.
So I worked with a woman this morning who has a real physical reaction. She is in a situation that is not feeding her spirit at all, and she gets nauseated. And this nausea, it hits like that, and she's had everything checked, and she's taken this, and she's taken that, and she's done cleanses, and she's done all kinds of things. And over the phone, when I was talking to her, I gave her that process that I have with the purple light, bringing it down through all the chakras and taking it down into Mother Earth, which is something we could give to people on the phone.
Absolutely.
On the show.
Absolutely. Because the energy behind that, the energy can cause the physical illness.
Right, and so you start at the crown of the head, you bring this light down through all the chakras, down through the tailbone, and you send it into Mother Earth and actually feel her grab it and hold it. And this woman's nausea was gone.
Yes.
So that tells me there's something energetically going on there. It won't respond that fast.
You know, it would be
it's
nice if people could come to energy workers and alternative healers first, the way it was thousands of years ago.
I think that's happening.
I think
more
we
and
can thank
more.
Obama for that because he's screwed up the medical system
I
so
knew she
much
was
with
gonna bring that in.
Obamacare. I think
I
it's-
kind of set that up.
you
didn't I?
did,
Darn it, George,
But I
you're
think-
not on your toes.
But I
there.
think the
Doggone
alternative
it.
healing world, which involves, you know, and not just what you and I do, but it involves acupuncture, it involves nutrition,
Everything.
it involves
Many kinds of
exercise,
things.
meditation. It involves this whole big gamut, and there's so many different people out there with different modalities that blend with other things. Nutrition will blend with everything.
Well, and that's one of the reasons you and I wanted to do the show is
Yeah.
because to create a community for alternative healing and alternative information.
Yeah.
So we're about ready. George is going to call her
We're going
right
to call
now.
Anna right now and welcome her to the show.
She's an expert in the art of hand psychology. She also was a runway model in the late 70s and 80s.
I ran
Like-
away from that.
Yeah, I know you did. One of the first, I believe, she'll probably tell us,
Okay.
Hispanic model on the runway. And she's been involved with very many people.
A
Very
lot
many
of
famous
famous
She
people?
was actually married to Eric Burden of the Animals.
Oh, nice.
For a short period. Well, I don't know if it was
See,
nice
now
or
we
not.
should-
We'll
oh,
find
well,
out.
Right. We should play one of the songs from the Animals in her honor.
Yeah,
or maybe
yeah.
not.
Or maybe not. So she's going to talk to us about what our hands can tell us. And I've had readings from her. And she told me some very interesting things.
And have they proven to be accurate?
Well, you know, I think so. Because one of the things she told me is that I had a long heart line, which is your romance line.
right.
And that mine needed to be longer. And it's actually getting that way.
See,
So
now
work on
there's a
doing.
couple of questions. I don't know a lot about palmistry. And I've had many people come up to me and I tell them I'm a licensed psychic and I get various reactions. I get the rolling of your eyes, you're doing the work of the devil. Or they will put their hand out and they'll say, read my palm.
Yeah, read my palm. And, you're
And,
like, well, no,
and I
that's not
say,
right.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I've never taken a palmistry class. And they'll say, but read my palm. And I'll sit there. I don't know how to do that. That is not in my skill set. And then I have to explain that there's so many different ways of being intuitive. And I'm mostly clairaudient, but I'm also clairvoyant, empathic, clairsentient, you know, a
You're
medium.
clear out of the ballpark.
I'm clear out of the ballpark. Clear out of the ballpark. Oh, it looks like we have Anna on the line. So
Anna?
Hello, it's Annabella.
Hi, Annabella. How are you today?
I'm having a cosmic and interesting day.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm Jane. I think we've met once before. Can you tell us about hand psychology? Tell us about that.
When did we meet?
I think, haven't we met?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I've been
Okay.
to Annabella for a couple of readings.
Okay,
so,
okay, then
but
maybe
I
we
think
haven't met. I thought we had.
I've told you about her. So
Okay, well, I feel like I
being
met
the
you.
licensed psychic you are, you probably, you know.
right, in the spirit world.
Yeah.
So tell us about hand psychology.
First, I'd like to talk about my background. I think
Sure.
my background's very important in how I got to where I'm going,
Okay.
you know?
Okay.
Right, yeah. So I was married to a major English rock star, and then I traveled the world with him, and then I learned a lot about diverse culture and connected with people like Yogi Bhajan, Timothy Leary, and some of the great people that were changing the planet at a time when people were looking to elevate the vibration of the planet. I was very young. I was in my teens at that time. And that kind of led me, after being an international Vogue model, the first Mexican Vogue model in Europe, I decided to start
Annabella,
studying.
I'm interrupting here. You said Vogue as in the fashion, right? Because it sounded like
Yes,
road.
as in the magazine Vogue.
Vogue
as
magazine, yeah, fashion. Vogue
Vogue
model.
magazine, and
yeah.
working with the designers, the big designers like Karl Lagerfeld and Yves Saint Laurent, Dior, these wonderful people who were already there. They were already gentlemen who were a little older in age, but they were definitely on the cutting edge of fashion. So living in Paris, Tokyo.
Oh,
New
hold
York,
on a minute,
Mexico City.
Annabella. Hold on a minute. It's cutting out really, really bad.
Do you have the show on in the background, Annabella?
What?
We're not able to understand you. Are you on a cell phone? Okay, yes, she is.
Okay,
Okay.
Annabella, you need to move to a different spot.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, move to, if you can get to a spot where the cell phone isn't going to drop, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, well,
There we
okay,
go.
I'm moving around here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So don't
okay,
move.
wonderful.
So don't move.
So you're
Right.
already, you're doing the show already. It's already 5:15.
Yes, you are on,
5:30,
live
right?
on air. Yes.
And you're taping the show, right? The show's being taped?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, yes. So I've come here after not living in the United States for 20 years. I've come back to offer a new perspective of looking at your brain through hand psychology.
Okay.
Okay, so what is hand psychology?
It's a way of looking at your brain through your hands.
Okay.
And it's been used since ancient time.
And how is this
And-
different than palmistry?
Very different, because when gypsies talk to you about palm reading, it's kind of like fortune telling. You see, telling people's fortunes. In my sessions, I do a karmic analysis
Okay.
of what the person is repeating, and how open the heart chakra is, how open the pineal gland is, how what area of their life are they stressed. If somebody who in the family has passed away and is watching their back from beyond. That's why it's very different from palm reading.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what do the so do you read the lines on the hand though, or do you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You see, the hands are manifested by the brain through the nervous system. So when we pass on, our hands go blank.
Okay, it's cutting out again, Annabella.
Yeah. So a line on a hand can represent a portion of the brain that is either damaged or repeating patterns that need to be cleared.
Exactly.
So how do you clear the patterns?
How do I what? Excuse me?
How do you clear the patterns? You raise the awareness of what the pattern is, and then
Totally. That's exactly what you do. You sit there and you, once you are aware of what the analysis is about, the person immediately starts to change their perspective of life and understanding that there is a pattern that repeats itself karmically.
okay.
So in this Western world, people are not aware of karma and dharma.
Okay, so what is the difference between karma and dharma?
Karma is the accumulated causes and effects from past lives.
Okay, and what is dharma?
All the positive actions you take to alter the karmic patterns.
So, and as I understood it from my reading with you, Annabella, the karma was in the left hand and dharma was in the right.
Yes, if you are a right-hander.
Right.
So it's in
Okay.
your dominant hand. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Dharma is the action that a person takes to become empowered in a lifetime, if I'm understanding you correctly?
Excuse me?
The Dharma is the action that a person takes to heal.
Yes.
Okay. Because I
To
do.
alter the karmic patterns.
Okay. So what are some of the...
Okay, I thought maybe you guys would be more engaging than this. Let's be a little more engaging, you guys. Let's get excited about this.
Well, we're setting up.
Jane, what do you do? Are you also a holistic healer?
I am a drugless health practitioner, yes. I do pranic healing, and I'm also a licensed psychic. But I've never heard of hand psychology. That's why I'm very curious.
Unfortunately, in the United States, most people have not.
And
I
so
was I was trained in the UK.
Okay.
And certified there.
So,
and I've had many psychologists come to sessions with me and take classes with me.
Oh, that's exciting.
So where is
Yes.
it? Where is it more known as hand psychology?
In England,
Okay.
in Germany right now. In Germany, they diagnose disease in hospitals through hand psychology.
Okay.
They're able to diagnose dementia. They're able to diagnose Alzheimer's. They're able to diagnose Parkinson's.
So to me, this sounds similar to iridology, where people diagnose things through the eyes that can also be diagnosed through the hands.
Well, it's very, you see, similar. The iridology is looking at the iris
Right.
and looking at the organs.
Mm-hmm.
With hand psychology, you're looking at the nervous system, you're looking at the physical body, and you're also able to look at the energy beyond the body, which, like, let's say if someone has connected to you karmically in a family and they pass on, then you're able to see how they, when they do have that strong karmic connection with you, they appear in the Mount of Venus as what we call the entity line, the line that shows that this great-grandmother or grandfather or great-auntie or someone that you very love dearly, usually connected to the family, is watching your back from the unactive life.
Mm-hmm.
So there is active life as we know it,
Right.
and unactive life. But it all has to do, this has nothing to do with Western mind, you see.
Okay.
This does not go into the box of the Western perspective of thinking the way people work today. This is a very left-brain world. I find that many holistic healers are still left-brain. They're analyzing instead of resonating, what they need to do with the client.
Well, that lines up with stuff we have talked on here before
Yeah.
about healers that we have run into who aren't necessarily doing their own work, aren't doing their own healing. They're not connecting.
Who's got the cough?
Well, that's George.
Yeah, that's somebody that needs.
That wasn't a social statement. That was just George.
That wasn't you guys.
So when you do this hand psychology, are you also doing a form of energy work? Are you massaging the hand? Are you?
No, I do not massage the hands.
Okay.
No, but when I do a private session, my third eye is totally open, so I'm able to analyze on a scientific level, but then there's also a great intuitive ability. I don't want to say that I'm a channel, but I am.
Right.
Because I've never worked with the word psychic and things like that. I don't work with those words. I tried to base it on science and philosophy and history. So when I am doing a session, sometimes kind of the download comes down from the universe, and I get this, oh, it's this thing, or that happening, or this child thing happened when they were children, and now they need to kind of clear it now, or they simply have to give closure to this, or they have to forgive that, or whatever it may be.
Right. So
Lainey's been to my sessions. She knows how I work. She knows how I do really activate people in their whole. And that's what I call it. And my session is called activation of the wise inner self through hand psychology.
Well, my experience was when I had the hand reading with Annabella is that it confirmed several things I was looking at that time. Understanding that I'm on a spiritual path and that I was working with things already. So it was a very good confirmation. And one of the things that she pointed out was that I had a heart line that was relatively long, but it needed to be longer if I was going to meet someone again in this lifetime. And what I can honestly say is, since having that reading with Annabella, that it did make me focus on that. And you've watched it. I have opened up more and more to having a relationship.
Yes.
So it's that thing of once you put a name on it, you now have something to work with. she's brought it to the conscious level so that you can actually work with that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
so it sounds like what you do is you raise that awareness, and then you either break a connection or repair a connection or strengthen a connection.
Just by knowing
Yes,
it.
Yeah.
it's called activation.
Okay.
Sometimes when I'm doing an analysis, because I really consider it an analysis, not a reading. The lines sometimes are even the brain will send the lines to the hands. Sometimes when I've made the person aware of that. And then yesterday, in fact, I was doing a session with a woman, and I was looking for her intuitive line, and it just didn't appear. And then when I started talking to her, all of a sudden it just shot right out, and I showed it to her. I said, look, I usually will mark people's hands with either a pen or some type of a marker to let them know, show them what the genetic geometry is, what's happening there with the genetic and sacred geometry. And
Okay, this
Annabella?
this connection is disintegrating again.
Yeah,
so
and
you need to.
so if you're
step
moving
to the
around, settle down.
Yeah.
I'm not moving around. I'm
Okay.
sitting in one place.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Do you have the
But you
phone
see,
really close to your
all
mouth?
of these cell phones are like this. This is stuff that's going to become obsolete because it's not like a landline where you could hear somebody. You could really hear it. This goes in and out depending on the waves of the airplanes that fly
Right.
through. You lose people or you get them. It's just it's so ephemeral. Ephemera.
Yeah.
Ephemeral
Yeah.
communication.
So when you were in London and doing this, obviously you were teaching people. Do you find that
No, I was being taught.
You were being
in
taught.
London, I was being trained.
So do you find that the European people tend to be more open to the holistic side of
Totally.
healing? Okay.
The European people live that way, and so do the Latin Americans, and so do the Orientals. They live in that mode. It's only in this country where people fell so deeply asleep.
Yes, they did. They
And
did.
they did.
Yeah,
and they
and-
did fall asleep all over the world.
Right.
I mean, because it was part of the healing
But
path.
mainly here.
Yeah.
You know,
Mainly in this country,
and
because
what-
people are in fear of everything. They're in fear of knowing. They're in fear of changing. They're in fear of growing. They're in fear of loving. They're in fear of opening their door. It's all fear-based, you see.
Yes.
I find it with holistic healers. They come up to me and they're like all skeptical. Oh, well, what do you really do? I mean, I go, listen, go with the energy, go with the vibration. And I always tell people, don't believe anything I tell you. If you don't feel it, then totally erase what I've said to you. But I don't work with belief systems. I really work with resonation, And I just gave a wonderful class this Friday at the Sophia Goddess Center, and the women were so impressed. They were like, I had about 11 women there, and they were, my God, and they're women from all walks of life, women who've traveled the world and who really know them. They said, we're really impressed with what you brought to the table, what you've taught us here. We had no idea that you were going to teach us this.
So
Here,
talk
because
about.
the first people go, is this like palm reading?
But you see, that's
Is
the
this
common.
like fortune telling? No,
Well,
not at all.
That's why we wanted to clear this up. That's why we wanted to have you on, so people could know the difference between palmistry and hand psychology.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's a valid science, and you'll find it in the future. In this country, people will be doing it for medicine.
Okay.
understanding that, yes.
Oh, stop a
it
minute.
connects
Stop a minute.
to our brain.
Yeah, stop a minute because that broke up so badly, and I think that's something we really wanted to hear.
Yes.
What did you?
Mercury going retrograde. Mercury's going backwards.
Yes, we had an
Yeah.
astrologer on last
and
week.
it's a descending moon also. And so these are the times usually when I don't do interviews because of this energy. The moon is descending, Mercury's going backwards, so very few people are going to get my drift,
Well,
because that's what the planet's doing, and that's what the cosmos are doing right now. And we work with that. Well, we understand that. I'm hoping one day you guys can interview me on a new moon. And then we'll sit there and you'll see how these thoughts will grow. But when we're doing something on a descending moon, we're not going to grow with it too much because descending moons are about getting rid of stuff.
Well, see, I'm going to disagree with you on that one, Annabella, because I do a lot of work with the descending moon, and I think I think you are right. That's when it's the best time to release things. But I see a lot of growth with my clients during that time because that is the part of the process of healing.
And
So once they've
well,
released
yeah, well, that's what a descending moon is for. It's for releasing and getting rid of. You can even lose weight with it. You can lose many pounds of water weight with this descending moon.
But I also believe that with Mercury retrograde, some of the things that are coming out, is the truth, and I believe it's important to get that out. And I think the truth needs to come out at any time. But since that's always what Mercury retrograde is about, that this is the perfect time for this, to give people that alternative to what they might get with a regular doctor. Now, do you have people that come to you with a diagnosis from a regular MD, and then you confirm that, or what? How does that work? Obviously, it sounds like you're working in partnership.
I don't work, honey. I'm not secular. I'm really not into left brain at all. No. People come to me after they've been to everybody, and and then they go, "Let me go see what this woman's going to tell me." And they come here not knowing what they're going to get. They go simply by the vibration of when they meet me, or they get one of my flyers, and they go, "Oh, God, maybe this woman can teach me something." Or some people say to me, "God, I made a petition to the universe last night. Please send me a sign. Send me somebody who can speak to me clearly and sincerely from the heart." And all of a sudden they get my number, or they call me, or I run into them in one of the many holistic events. So many left-brainers have come to me, and when they leave here, they're totally no longer left-brainers. They're like giving themselves an opportunity to open up that God, intuitive side of the brain. So the intuitive is the right brain, and it's the knowing where all the information is and that we all have. And the left brain is the blur at the end, but
that's
breaking
pretty,
up. Breaking up again. Hang on, Annabella.
Hold on. This isn't working right.
You've got such great information that it really is hard when it breaks up.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, honey. Is this Mercury retrograde? So that's why Mercury is doing these things.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe.
And Annabella, we're going to give you another couple of minutes, and then I think we'll just stop because I really want people to hear your information.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give out her phone number. So if you've heard something, because this is getting really hard to hear.
And then a website, too.
And then, do you have a website, Annabella? Hello.
I've got a site that I'm working on right now, but I've got a very good fan page where I think people can really see what I'm doing.
Okay, so
in my fan page in Facebook.
Okay, so give that information.
I've got a website that hasn't been finished yet.
Okay, so how can they find your Facebook page? It's under Annabella, and it's spelled with one N, right?
Yeah, that would be my personal page, but the fan page is called The Art of Hand Psychology.
Okay. And if they wanted to reach you for
and
a
I'm
reading,
hoping you'll like it, Ray.
I've already looked at it. I already have. I already did.
And yeah, I will.
That would be where you would send the people. And then if anybody during this Mercury retrograde and the moon descending heard me, got anything from me, my number is 702-815-9185.
Okay, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it because I think it's breaking up pretty bad.
You're breaking up there, Annabelle.
Because look, it's been a lot of you guys can't hear me. I can also catch up on this end.
Okay.
It's cutting up.
Okay. So I'm going to say this. If you would like to talk to Annabella about the art of hand psychology, the number is 702. What does that say?
That's 702-815-9185, and she has a Facebook page called The Art of Hand Psychology. If you want to find out about that, and she is also working on
a website.
Yeah. So that would be the thing to look out for. And just to back up a little bit of what she said, she studied hand psychology in London and England, the UK, for years.
And this is something that's more well known in Europe.
Yeah.
And all over the
Europe is considered. You go to England and their medical community is considered very progressive. Most of the time, things are on the market 10 years before they come over to the United States. So this sounds like another alternative for people to look at to work the scientific part of whatever issue they're facing, whether it's emotional, physical, or spiritual. And this is just something else to include to supplement what else whatever modality they're working on.
Right. So Annabella, I really want people to hear you clearly. So we're going to give out the phone number again in your Facebook page, but it's breaking up so bad. I don't want that to happen to you.
Right.
So thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, thank you, Anna. We definitely appreciate that. And give out her number again. 702. I'll give it out.
Yeah, because I don't have my
It's
glasses on.
702-8. We'll see. You need to go see an
Yeah,
iridologist, right?
Yeah.
702-815-9185. Annabella
Decoro.
And her Facebook page again is The Art of Hand Psychology. And so thank you for calling, and we hope maybe next time we can have her on where we're not having so much interference.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I think this is interesting. I do want to say that you know, I'm sorry that the word psychic has such a bad connotation to it.
Yeah.
You know, I think we can really thank Miss Cleo for that. Remember?
I don't think she single-handedly did that.
She did a lot. I think that was in the 80s, and she had that whole thing, and then they found that she was defrauding people, and you know, a lot of times when people talk about psychic, that's what they look at. They look at somebody that is dressed in the gypsy thing and moves around, and you know me, I mean, I dress like this normally, you know.
Oh, you look
I
like,
do.
yeah, you
I
look like
don't-
a, yeah.
Yeah, I
well,
look
that's
like a
fine.
normal person. People walking down the street are not going to look at me and say, "Oh, she's a psychic." So I just want to say that that word is got such a bad rap.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's
I think
not-
so. And I think some of the modalities do, like palmistry. I mean, that's why people hear the art of hand psychology,
Right.
and they immediately go, oh, it's a palm reader. It's,
Yeah, and that's
she
what I thought.
approaches it from a different point of view.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm glad for that knowledge, because I really did think that
Mhm.
it was the same thing, but it appears to be very,
Right.
very different.
Right. It's like people hear that I'm a shamanic healer, and the first thing that they think of is Native American.
Right. Well, of course.
You know, and
Right.
of course it was worldwide.
Yes.
And a shamanic healer doesn't have anything to do with it. It has to do that it's one of the oldest spiritual paths known to humankind.
Yeah.
But it was all over the world, so it had different cultures. And each shamanic healer, as I've told you, there's only two things that really are in common. We all use some sort of sound to go into an altered state, and we go to the other side of reality for information to bring it back
And
from guiding spirits and teachers.
And you've also had people, and even I've referred people to you, and I've told them that you're a shamanic healer, and they've called you, or they've said to me, well, she's calling herself a shaman. And I've said, no, she's not calling herself a shaman. She's calling herself a shamanic healer. That is her modality.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because the shamans were born into it.
Right.
They were
Right.
born into it. They were raised from a very early age. They were trained from a very early
Yeah.
age. They were not allowed until a certain point, until it was shown that they had been through enough healing, enough initiation of their spirit with their personality to be able to work with other people.
Yes.
And it's a path. It's a
Yes.
calling. And so we have a new one in town that's doing a pipe ceremony. It's a young man, and I have the feeling that he's very gifted.
Well, I have to tell you, I did an event Saturday night with Vicki up in Anthem, and was talking with the other people that were hired to work at that party. And one of the guys, we exchanged cards. He says he goes to all these different drum circles around town, and some of them are very fluff bunny.
Fluff bunny.
Fluff bunny.
Fluff bunny. I like that.
And
I have a spirit like that, a fluff bunny.
you have a cute little bunny.
I don't have a rabbit. I've got all kinds of cats, but I don't have, you know.
But what he was looking for was one that was more in keeping with a shamanic tradition, with one that is more about getting people to heal and involving sense of sound. And so I told, like I said, we exchanged cards. I have not heard from him yet, but that's okay. He'll hear me when
You know,
he'll get in
and I
touch
think
with me when he's
Annabella
right.
brought up a very good point. She said that people will come to her, that they're meant to her. And I think that's true of all healers with everything, is
Yeah.
that there's a certain thing they're looking for. A new client that I have has been looking at she told me this morning, or no, the other day when I first talked to her, she's been looking at my picture. She went onto my site about 3 months ago, and she's been looking at my picture every day.
Okay, so
And I was a little
obviously-
amazed at that.
Yeah,
you know?
so that's you're drawing that in.
And she said, every
Yeah.
time I looked at your picture, I just got this feeling of light and whatever. Now, it's not me specifically, but spirit is calling her somehow, and it's coming through me. And I think that's what happens with all healers, whether it be Annabella,
yep.
whether it be you, whether it be me, whether it be, whatever. It's
Yeah.
all energy that's calling people in a form that's going to make sense to them.
And I absolutely get that with pranic healing.
Mhm.
I get people when I explain what it is and why it's different from some of the other energy modalities that are out there, and why I feel it works. And I would
Right.
say 98% of the time it works.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the step to the next step.
Right,
So
exactly.
they may see some improvement and then they may not get anything, you know.
Mhm.
It's not like take a pill for 10 days and you're done and you're healed. It's not like
Right.
that.
Right. And that's something we should say about energy work and alternative healing. You don't get where you are in one day.
No, you don't.
It
It's a
takes
process.
time to build up all this stuff that you need to get rid of. And so you're going to see your drugless health practitioner more than once.
Mhm.
And that's because as we start to work on the different, especially me, on the different energy fields and pulling stuff out and releasing the thought patterns that go along with it, other stuff is going to come up.
Mhm.
And so that's just going in layers until you're down at the root and you're like, okay, this is what it is. Let's just heal from this completely. And in my practice, I have found that a lot of my clients will come to me and say, I can forgive others. I don't know how to forgive myself.
And as you and I both know, you can only forgive other people so far in that kind of system. The forgiveness has to start.
It has
with
to
your
start.
own heart.
It
Yeah,
does. It does. And then somebody recently posted on my personal wall. We just sort of started that discussion, and let's actually go into that. There's a practice that we've been taught to forgive yourself, and I wrote about this in a magazine about 2 years ago. When we were having the elections and Clint Eastwood was doing his thing and saying that there was going to be an empty chair in the White House and all this stuff. So I took inspiration from that, and I tell people to employ the empty chair technique. And what that is to see themselves sitting in a chair in front of them and to see coming out of their physical body over to the energy one saying, I forgive you. I forgive you for bringing in these harsh lessons, for not learning them easily, and to actually sit there and forgive yourself sitting across from you.
Yeah.
And I've told people to do that. The people that do this on a regular basis report back that things start to go a little bit easier. They're finding that they can use it for the small things, because if you can forgive the small things, you can then turn around and forgive the bigger things.
And most change, my experience is most change comes from the small steps.
Yes. Yes.
When it gets to the point where it's got to be a dramatic step, it's just chaos, and it's hard to get it straightened out.
And that's when you get a partner to help you with that, because that other person can see something that maybe you can't see. Either you're blocking it, or it's just too painful to come up.
I want to go back to something that Annabella talked about, which I think translates real well to what you and I have talked about in the past. And of course, this is about how do our bodies give us physical clues on our spiritual path. When she talked about by bringing up something and activating it, telling someone, like in my case with this heart chakra, I had no idea. But it made sense to me that the heart line it would be my right hand, which is the Dharma hand, is that it only goes up. See where it is now?
Yes.
It goes up like this. Well, see where it goes up right there and right there?
Mm-hmm.
It was only about here.
So
until she brought it up. So and that made perfect sense to me, because I've had a couple of marriages, a couple of relationships, things in my past that set up my relationships in my life. So that made a lot of sense, and I realized, wow, one of the ways to do that is I need to take the guard down. I need to do some trusting. I need to do, and we all know how that's been going. Yeah.
Well, that's about trusting spirit. That's about trusting what spirit is bringing into you.
Not only that, but it's also about trusting myself.
Right.
Because it's just like forgiveness. You can't trust somebody else unless you can trust what you're going to do in a given situation.
So so the way things manifest in people's bodies that they're trying to let them know, that there's an issue. You and I both work on the energy field.
Right.
Obviously, anger. Anger and indigestion and upset stomach go hand in hand.
They can?
They can. In my world, they do, because anger can be stored in the solar plexus. And the solar plexus governs your immune system. And it governs all this stuff in your stomach. And so if you're storing a lot of anger and low self-esteem, it's going to leak out into your physical body.
Right. And you're making decisions. And I think that's what I wanted to get back to with her statement, is that once it's, as she says, activated, or once you recognize what the problem is, now you can start making different choices. It's like looking at a wall, not knowing how to go through it, and all of a sudden when somebody shows you the door, you can now know where the handle is, and you can turn it and you can go through. And in my circles, people have heard me say, this circle at this moment in this hour is unique. Everybody in this circle is bringing some energy to it up to this point. Now, if we were to meet the next day in the same circle form with the same people, it wouldn't be the same circle, because we've had 24 hours to make different choices.
Yes.
So the moment she sees something in a hand and says, this is what's going on, that person now has put a name on it, a door with a handle, and they from that moment, just for the act of saying, wow, I didn't know that. I think I want to try and work on that. You've now just made another choice.
Exactly. And
so things will start to change.
And some people refuse to make that choice because they're coming from fear.
Right.
And fear manifests it negatively. You can't manifest anything positive from being in the energy of fear. And as I said to somebody earlier today, fear and love cannot coexist.
Well, they don't know. It's either one or the other.
Yeah.
It's and I love the what do they call that? What do they call it when they give letters to something?
Using the alphabet.
Yeah, that would work. That would work. I was going to say
Carol
anagram,
is
but
over
that's
losing over here.
But yeah, she's choking. Yeah. So fear can also stand for false evidence appearing real.
Oh yes, yes, an acronym. Yes,
that's what it is. Dang. See, you got to give me one. I knew my name today. You got to give me the other one. You know.
Yes. It's that Catholic high school
Carol
education.
needed a good laugh. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what life stands for?
No.
Living in fulfillment every day.
Boy, I'm not going to remember that one.
That was actually channeled to me
you got
years
that one,
ago.
George?
Yeah, that was actually channeled to me years ago on the first show on Synchronicity. Yeah, see, he remembers. He remembers.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember the whole acronym, but I remember you saying that a long time ago.
Yes, I did. Yep.
See, I wouldn't remember, but I can remember the one about fear.
So I would say that you need to look at your hand and figure out which line the memory line is.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, right. So other ways that the body, I have noticed that ever since I broke my leg really severely in 2007, that course correction.
Yes.
And I have noticed in the last year that I have this shooting pain that goes up. It's not really a pain. It's like when you're, if you were to sit on your foot or sit on your leg, you know how you sit on the couch, and it goes to sleep. And then when it wakes up, there's that kind of a burning. It's like that.
Yes.
And what I finally pieced together today is it started up in the last year, and it started after I stopped walking consistently. So it's a message from my body to get it off my butt.
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
place to do that.
Absolutely.
But it also, what I've noticed is it's a reminder for me to do this spiritual process, spiritual ritual that we call the bone dance, which you have done.
I've done that.
After I have done the bone dance, which basically what that does is it clears your energy. It's like resetting your body and the computer in your body.
Yeah.
And I've had people that I've done that with, that they've had physical ailments they haven't told me about, and they'll tell me later, oh, my back didn't hurt after we did that.
Right.
And it's physically, it's what's happening in the journey is we are asking spirit to come in and take the body apart down to the bone, hence the bone dance. And then spirit puts it back together after it's cleaned everything. And you've done that.
Yes, I have, and it was fascinating.
It is fascinating how that works.
It is an interesting, definitely an interesting technique.
So when this thing in my leg fires off now, I go do a bone dance.
Well, I just find that
it helps.
I've been meditating all these years, and I just find that a lot of times, and when I started the meditation process in pranic healing, my family was in turmoil. So it was perfect timing.
Right. It kind of helped guide you onto that path.
It absolutely did. It helped with my kids and some of the stuff they were going through. It helped me stay centered. But it did, at the same time, it also brought up a lot of my childhood issues that I needed to heal from. And I found that the more powerful meditations that I did, the more stuff came up.
Right.
So, but it also gave me the alternate technique of using these affirmations and reprogramming, and it's led me now to where I'm doing this different technique that is being given to me through spirit, combining it with pranic healing, where I'm actually working on the brain itself in a different way than what Annabella was talking about, and I'm finding that is a lot. I've had a lot of success with it. So it's the meditation for me. I wake up feeling peaceful. I go to sleep feeling peaceful. And today we have 5 minutes left. Today we had, and as you saw in my status, we're in there meditating at US Vets, and
a fire alarm.
Fire alarm. Fire alarm.
How's
and
that for a meditation?
And guess what? I didn't tell anybody this, but guess which meditation we were doing? The Golden Flame.
Oh, I would call that confirmation.
Right. And there was no fire, but I just, took my stuff, walked out, they took roll, and then we went back in.
Now, I was singing one time, and I was singing some ballad like When I Fall in Love or something
Right.
like that, and I had the fire alarm over the stage go off. I just sang through it because it's like,
So
I don't
there's
know
a
what the heck
fire,
to do
whatever's
now.
going
You know,
on.
I'm just
Right.
and then it stopped, and everybody's kind of sitting there with this glazed look on their face because I've just put them under.
It just
Double induction, you know.
boy, ring my bell, right?
Right. So the other thing is that when I'm working with people shamanically, one of the things I do is I have about a 20-minute, you know, no less than 10, but up 10 minutes to let's say half an hour, where I'm talking with them to find out what's going on today. What is
Yes.
going on today? And
The
many
consultation's
times
fun, yeah.
but even so, I've usually had a conversation with them on the phone. But what happens is once we've invoked this healing, once I've asked them the night before to ask for a dream, to have spirit support you in whatever this healing is going to be, things will start to happen right away.
Yes.
So I'll ask them, what is going on physically in your body? So like the woman who, you know, I was talking about today who had a nausea. She's been trying to deal with it for forever. So that was a clue to me. I could hear it, and I heard spirit, you know, literally, because I'm so auditory. I heard spirit say, this is something to notice, what's going on here. This is in the solar plexus. This is whatever. So your
Yes, it
body
is.
is giving you clues all the time. Now, does that mean if you have pain going down your left arm and you feel like you can't get your breath that you need to go, oh, that's just spirit talking to me?
No, that's when you call 911.
We want to make sure. We want to make sure.
Yeah.
But if you've had that checked out, and this is why a lot of people come to me when they've tried a lot of things, because they're at a place where they don't know what the next step
Right.
is. So
And
spirit's bringing them
Right.
through a route.
And I've had that as well. We've only got a couple of minutes
Right.
left. Who's our guest next week?
I think it's us.
Okay.
And we're
that's
talking
right.
about ghosts.
That's right.
We should play
Ghosts.
Ghostbusters.
And so today, just want to do a little bit of a wrap up. We had Annabella on, and she does hand psychology. We
The
gave
art-
her
the
art
art
of hand psychology. She has a Facebook page.
That's
and
called the art of
The art of hand psychology.
And
her
the
website.
phone number is,
And the phone number is 702-815-9185.
if you would like to book a reading with
Yes.
her. Well, she doesn't like to call it
session.
she likes to call it an analysis.
Right. So, and then we've also talked a little bit about forgiveness and how a lot of our clients have issues forgiving themselves. And I gave out a technique, the empty chair technique, for people to actually sit down and practice.
And another technique would be to imagine a purple light above
Yes,
your head.
to
Bring
clear
it
that.
down through the crown, down through your throat, down through your solar plexus, down through the tailbone, down into Mother Earth, and ask Mother Earth to hold that for
Yes.
you. And that's another way to do it.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about ghosts next week.
Right.
And with that, what do we got coming up?
Well,
You're going to be at, where are you going to be?
I'm going to be at Well of the Moon until October 31st.
Okay, are you doing any meditations before then?
No, because all the nights are pretty much booked up. So if you're interested in getting a session with me or pranic healing, the number is 702-204-7750, and I'm Jane McGuire.
I'm Elena Risto. You can call me at 702-308-8464. And other than that, notice what your body's telling you this week. Just the little things,
And
okay?
next week, ghosts.
Ghosts. Yeah.
We'll change
Have
the
a
theme
great
song
week.
for next week.
Nah, we'll just add it.
There you go.
Have a great time.
All right. Be well, everyone.
Knowing that this day will never come again, as my spirit's guiding